Good afternoon, students. Today we will discuss on lymph nodes and lymphomas. Now, what are lymph nodes? Lymph nodes are the meeting place for antigens or the microbes which attack our bodies, presented by the antigen presenting cells to the B and T cells. So, it is the meeting place for antigen presenting cells who are presenting these antigens to B and T lymphocytes. Now, lymph nodes are small oval bean shaped organs which are situated in the course of the lymphatic vessels. They consist of network of connective tissue, numerous lymphocytes, plasma cells, fibroblasts and macrophages. That is, they are an important part of the immune system of our body. A lymph node has an outer cortex which contains rounded lymphatic follicles. Some of these lymphatic follicles have a central pale staining zone which is called the germinal center. So these follicles with the germinal center are antigenically stimulated, so they are called the secondary follicles, and those follicles which do not have the germinal centers are called the primary follicles. So cortex and a medulla. Medulla is surrounded by the cortex and it is a lighter zone with fewer lymphocytes. Now this is a schematic picture of a lymph node. These are the afferent lymphatics which are bringing the lymph into the lymph node. This is a capsule. This is the cortex. This is a primary follicle with no germinal center, that is, it is not been antigenically stimulated. This is a secondary follicle with a germinal center, a pale germinal center, that means it has been stimulated by an antigen. This is medulla, and here the efferent lymphatics. These efferent lymphatics, they ultimately drain into the heart through the right and left subclavian veins. This is a microscopic picture of lymph node germinal secondary follicle with the mantle zone. This is the darker zone is the mantle zone and the central paler zone is the germinal center. So this is a secondary follicle. Now a lymph node has different types of cells, B cells and T cells at various stages of maturation. So what are these cells? The centroblasts, centrocytes, immunoblasts, memory cells, follicular dendritic cells, tingible body macrophages. Now before we go into the discussion about the lymphomas, we will have to understand this picture. Now lymphomas are neoplastic B or T cells, that is clonal proliferation of B or T lymphocytes. So these lymphoid cells, they are beginning as stem cells. They are starting from the stem cells in the bone marrow. Then they gradually differentiate either towards the T lymphocytes or toward the B lymphocytes. Look at this picture. T lymphoblast, T lymphoblast. This is now differentiating towards the naive T cells. B lymphoblast towards the naive B cells. Now when they are interacting or counteracting an antigen, what is happening? They are further differentiating into either CD helper cells, cytotoxic cells. In case of the B cells, they are differentiating into centroblasts, into centrocytes, into the plasma cells, immunoblasts and so on. So when we will be studying lymphomas, we will see that these lymphoma cells, they are the clonal proliferation of any one such stage of maturation. One such stage of maturation will undergo clonal proliferation, resulting in a particular type of lymphoma. Now lymph, what is lymph? Lymph is that means the lymphatics are carrying this lymph into the lymph nodes. So what is this lymph? This is the tissue fluid which gathers by exudation from the plasma across the capillaries, and they contain the constituents of blood, that is lipid, carbohydrates, clotting factors, lymphocytes. Their function is to recover the protein that is lost from the blood into the tissues back into the blood, that is returns them through the blood into the heart, into the system. Secondly, the invading microbes and lymphocytes are transported to the draining lymph nodes by the lymph. So it is very important. Now lymphatic and they are brought by the lymphatic channels. Now coming to follicular hyperplasia. Now before understanding going to the lymphomas, we must also understand the reactive follicular hyperplasia, which is a benign process. Lymphoma is a neoplastic process, a neoplastic proliferation, but there can be benign proliferation of lymphoid tissue, which is called a reactive follicular hyperplasia. This reactive follicular hyperplasia, it occurs due to various causes like viral infections and many other causes. So from the histopathomophology, we will have to differentiate between the two. Now follicular hyperplasia reflects a normal response of lymph nodes to antigenic stimulation. So it is a normal response, it is not an abnormal, not neoplastic response. Response to antigenic stimulation. Hyperplastic follicles are usually spherical or oval in shape and they are confined to the cortex. They are commonly found in the cortex. When we see under the microscope, we will find that the lymph node architecture is intact. There is no effacement of lymph node architecture, and there is no follicular crowding, and there is preserved mantle zone. That means there is a pale central area which is called the germinal center, surrounded by a darker area which is called the mantle zone. So when this mantle zone is preserved, it goes more in favor of the reactive follicular hyperplasia, with dark and light zones in the follicles and retained tingible body macrophages. And these are the features which are helpful in distinguishing exuberant reactions from follicular lymphoma. So this point is very important, that we must differentiate the reactive follicular hyperplasia from the follicular lymphomas. So here the follicles are mostly in the cortex. They are of different sizes. They have primary follicles and secondary follicles with the preserved mantle zones, and they have tingible body macrophages, and they do not efface the structure of the lymph node. Now, so I have told you that these are not clonal and they do not distort the architecture. Now, what are the causes of reactive hyperplasia? Like virus associated adenitis, like infectious mononucleosis, post-vaccination enlargement of lymph nodes, herpes zoster infection, cytomegalovirus, measles, HIV, rheumatoid arthritis, and so on. There are various reasons when we may get such non-neoplastic enlargement of lymph nodes. Now we are beginning with the discussion on lymphomas. Now lymphomas, either B cell type or T cell type. B cell and T cell or NK cell and NK cell type neoplasms, which are clonal tumors of mature and immature B and T or NK cells at various stages of maturation. See, this I have discussed previously, that they arise from one particular stage of maturation of B or T cells. Now NK cells share some immunophenotypic and functional properties with T cells, so these two neoplasms are considered together. Now before going into the lymphomas, we must discuss a little bit about the normal maturation of B and T cells. B cell neoplasms, once again I am saying that it mimics various stages of B cell differentiation. A normal B cell differentiation begins with a lymphoblast, which differentiates into mature surface immunoglobulin positive naive B cell via pre-B cell. Naive B cells are often CD5 positive. CD means a cell surface molecule, and they are small resting lymphocytes in the peripheral blood, in the primary follicles, and in the mantle zone of lymph nodes. After encountering an antigen, these naive B cells, they transform and proliferate to mature antibody secreting plasma cells and memory cells. Now antigen exposed B cells, they migrate into the center of a primary follicle and form a germinal center with formation of centroblasts which express BCL6 and CD10. So these are the naive B cells, then centroblasts, centrocytes. These are all the various stages of differentiation of the same B lymphocyte. Now coming to examples like mantle cell lymphoma, these correspond to the CD5 naive cells, that is they are clonal proliferation of the CD5 naive cells. Burkitt's lymphoma, here there is clonal proliferation of BCL6 positive cells which correspond to the germinal center blast cells. Now coming to T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes, they arise from the bone marrow precursors and undergo maturation and acquisition of function in the thymus. Now in the thymus, they mature and they derive the CD markers CD1A, CD3, 5, 7, and when they mature enough they differentiate to CD4 and CD8. That is, these markers are also present in the mature T cells, CD4 and CD8 cells. Now after maturation in the thymus, the T cells, they leave and occupy the peripheral lymphoid tissues. Now T cell neoplasms, again they correspond to the various stages of normal T cell differentiation. Now coming to the classification of tumors of hematopoietic and lymphoid tissues. World Health Organization has classified lymphoid neoplasms based on morphological criteria, immunophenotypic features, genotypic and clinical features as precursor B cell neoplasm, peripheral B cell neoplasm, precursor T cell and NK cell neoplasm, peripheral T cell, NK cell neoplasm, and Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now B cell neoplasms, it has a very long list, so you will have to go through this list. You will have to remember the list, the classification. T cell neoplasm, again it's a long list. You will have to memorize the classification. Now coming to the difference between Hodgkin's lymphoma and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So in case of Hodgkin's lymphoma, the distribution is bimodal. In two different phases of age group it can occur, whereas non-Hodgkin's lymphoma it can occur in any age. In Hodgkin's lymphoma, there is mainly cervical lymphadenopathy and the spread is in a chain-like fashion, contiguous spread, and mesenteric and Walde's rings are not involved, and there is a very characteristic cell which is called the Reed-Sternberg cell in an inflammatory background, which is the characteristic feature of Hodgkin's lymphoma. And on the other hand, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma can occur at any age, in any age group of population. It results in generalized lymphadenopathy, not only cervical lymphadenopathy but generalized lymphadenopathy and non-contiguous spread, not in a chain fashion, and mesenteric and Walde's rings are involved and Reed-Sternberg cells are absent. Now clinically, how do we know that's a lymphoma? 2/3 people with non-Hodgkin's and Hodgkin's lymphoma present with enlarged and non-tender lymph nodes. The rest of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma present with symptoms which are related to the place of manifestation, like this place of involvement, like skin, stomach, brain and so on, according to the place where it is affected. Now in case of leukemias, lymphocytic leukemias, most often the patient will come with signs and symptoms related to suppression of normal hematopoiesis by the tumor cells in the bone marrow. For example, anemia, thrombocytopenia, leukopenia, recurrent infections and so on. In case of Hodgkin's lymphoma, there is painless enlargement of the cervical lymph nodes and pain on alcohol ingestion. This is very characteristic. Bell-Epstein's type of fever, night sweats, weight loss and amyloid deposition. Now coming to Hodgkin's lymphoma. Hodgkin's lymphoma is again divided into two types, classical and non-classical. Classical includes nodular sclerosis, mixed cellularity, lymphocyte rich and lymphocyte depletion, and the non-classical type includes the lymphocyte predominance type. Classical Hodgkin's lymphoma is characterized by Reed-Sternberg cells with similar immunophenotypic features, that is, they are CD15, 30 and PAX5 positive. RS cells in non-classical type of Hodgkin's lymphoma, they have distinctive immunophenotypic features that differ from the classical type, and they are positive for CD20, BCL6, negative for CD15 and CD30. Now coming to the pathogenesis of classical type of Hodgkin's lymphoma, where there is activation of the nuclear factor kappa B pathway resulting in proliferation of cells, lymphocytes. Now this this nuclear factor kappa B may be activated by Epstein-Barr virus or some other mechanism and turns on genes that promote lymphocyte proliferation. Epstein-Barr virus positive cells, they express a protein called latent membrane protein 1, which upregulates nuclear factor kappa B. The accumulation of the reactive cells in the tissues involved by classical Hodgkin's lymphoma occurs in response to various cytokines and chemokines which are secreted by the Reed-Sternberg cells. I have told you previously that in case of Hodgkin's lymphoma, we find these Reed-Sternberg cells, which are very classical, in a background of inflammatory cells. So these background inflammatory cells, they are brought into the tissue by these Reed-Sternberg cells, which release various types of cytokines and chemokines and attract these inflammatory cells. These Reed-Sternberg cells are very large cells, binucleate cells, and having prominent eosinophilic nucleoli, giving them the appearance of an owl eye appearance. Now, Reed-Sternberg cell is not only the classical type. There are various variants of Reed-Sternberg cell, like the lacunar variant, which has an empty space or halo around the cell, and it is seen in the nodular sclerosis type of Hodgkin's lymphoma, a delicate and folded nucleus and pale abundant cytoplasm that is often disrupted at the time of tissue processing. So it gives an impression as if the cell is sitting in a hole, in an empty space or a lacuna. Popcorn cells seen in the nodular lymphocytic predominant type of non-classical Hodgkin's lymphoma and the mononuclear variant. Now this Reed-Sternberg cell can be present in some other conditions also, like infectious mononucleosis and malignant lymphoma. So we have to differentiate them by the point that in case of Hodgkin's lymphoma, we will get these RS cells in a background of non-neoplastic inflammatory cells. So this is a picture of an RS cell. Here this picture you see there is Reed-Sternberg cell which is secreting various cytokines and chemokines, which are in turn attracting, see here, the monocytes, macrophages, plasma cells, lymphocytes, eosinophils and so on. So this is very important. Now coming to the various classical types of Hodgkin's lymphoma one by one. Nodular sclerosis is the most common in the world, and here most important thing is that it involves the mediastinal lymph nodes. Mediastinal involvement is seen. It is uncommonly associated with Epstein-Barr virus and it occurs equally in males and females, and here we find the lacunar cells and it is prognostically very good. Mixed cellularity type is very common in India and it occurs more in males. Here the lymph nodes have an effaced architecture by cellular infiltrate of T cells, eosinophils, macrophages, plasma cells and RS cells. Diagnostic RS cells are plentiful. Epstein-Barr virus is positive in 70% of the cases and there is no mediastinal involvement. Lymphocytic rich, large number of lymphocytes are present and few RS cells are seen. And lymphocyte depleted type, here we find very few lymphocytes. Other cells predominate and it is the least common type with worst prognosis, and Epstein-Barr virus and HIV can be associated. This Hodgkin's lymphoma of the non-classical type, here the involved lymph nodes are effaced by small lymphocytes admixed with macrophages. Classical RS cells are difficult to find. What do we find here? We find the popcorn cells. Eosinophils and plasma cells are scanty. Now these popcorn cells, they express CD20 and BCL6, negative for CD15 and 30. Here again the prognosis is good and it is not Epstein-Barr virus associated. Now coming to the staging, before going to the staging, it needs thorough physical examination of the patient and radiological imaging of abdomen, pelvis and chest for the involvement of these lymph nodes, and a biopsy of the bone marrow. This is bone marrow biopsy. Histological type is more important prognostic variable in the treatment protocol. The staging system is called the Ann Arbor staging system, and which again has further two types, A and B type, depending upon the presence of fever, night sweats and weight loss. Now coming to the non-Hodgkin lymphomas. Now non-Hodgkin lymphomas, it's a very big list of B cell lymphomas and T cell lymphomas. So we will not discuss all of them. We will discuss only 4 of the non-Hodgkin lymphomas. Number 1, chronic lymphocytic lymphoma or small lymphocytic lymphoma. It is a mature B cell lymphoma consisting of monomorphic small mature B cells that express CD5 and CD23. So surface molecules CD5 and CD23, both these are present. It is a monoclonal B cell proliferation, where in the peripheral blood we find absolute lymphocyte count of more than equal to 5000 lymphocytes per ml of blood. Now what is an SLL? SLL is similar, it is also a type of CLL where the peripheral blood count may be less than 5000 per ml, and there is documented nodal, splenic and other extramedullary involvement. It is also CD5 and CD23 positive. Now, unlike other lymphoid malignancies, chromosomal translocations are rare in case of CLL, SLL. What do we find here? There are the genetic anomalies like deletions of chromosome 13, 11, 17 and trisomy of chromosome 12. There is a staging system which is called Rye and Binet staging system to define the disease extent of CLL or SLL. And this chronic lymphocytic leukemia may transform into pro-lymphocytic lymphoma, which is another B cell neoplasm, or into diffuse large B cell lymphoma. Now, second example of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is follicular lymphoma, which is composed of centroblasts and centrocytes in a follicular pattern. So here lies the question of differentiation with reactive follicular hyperplasia. Reactive follicular hyperplasia may be mistaken for a follicular lymphoma, so we will have to be very careful. Nearly exclusively a disease of the adults and individuals here exposed to pesticides and herbicides and have a translocation between chromosome 14 and 18. So there is clonal proliferation of mature B cells, which are centroblasts and centrocytes, having translocation of chromosome between chromosome 14 and 18. They involve the lymph nodes, peripheral lymph nodes, spleen, bone marrow and also peripheral blood, as well as gastrointestinal tract, mesenteric lymph nodes, soft tissue, breast. When we see them microscopically, the lymph nodes have a vaguely nodular character, and under microscopy they have closely packed follicles that efface the nodal architecture. The mantle zone is attenuated and tingible body macrophages are absent. Here the tumor cells are positive for CD19, 20, 22, 79A, BCL2, BCL6, CD10. BCL2 overexpression is the hallmark. Prognosis is related to the extent of the disease at diagnosis, and this follicular lymphoma may undergo transformation into diffuse large B cell lymphoma in some cases. Mantle cell lymphoma, the third one. This is another mature B cell non-Hodgkin's neoplasm composed of monomorphic small to medium sized lymphoid cells with irregular nuclear contours. Involves lymph nodes, spleen, bone marrow, peripheral blood, gastrointestinal tract, Waldes ring, lung and pleura. Again, here there are some phenotypic markers like surface IgM, IgD, BCL2, CD5, nuclear cyclin expression, nuclear cyclin D1, SOX11. These are very specific, and it is negative for CD10, negative for BCL6, negative for CD23. Again, these cells are carrying a translocation which is between 11 and 14 chromosomes. And last of all, we will discuss diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, which is the neoplasm of medium or large B cells whose nuclei are the same size or larger than those of a macrophage, or more than twice those of normal lymphocytes with diffuse pattern. They arise either de novo or they represent transformation of less aggressive lymphomas like CLL, follicular lymphoma, marginal zone lymphoma, and nodular lymphocytic predominant Hodgkin's lymphoma. And here the markers are CD19, 20, 22, 79A and PAX5. Thank you, students. Now here we finish with our discussion on lymphomas.